Hello aspirants, welcome to the Hi-Fi of the Day, Daily Current Affairs by Alchemy IAS Institute. I am Suhas and we are going to discuss the 5 most important news topic of the day that which is relevant for your UPSC preparation. Justice Yashwant Verma going to be the first judge to be removed using the impeachment process. So who is Yashwant Sharma Verma? He is a sitting judge of Allahabad High Court. Earlier, he was a judge of Delhi High Court, but he got transferred to his parent High Court, that is Allahabad High Court, after a controversy involving a large sum of unexplained cash has been recovered from his residence, a storeroom, and this led to his removal. So he is going to be the first judge in Indian history to be impeached. Actually, the word impeachment is not applicable to the removal of judges. In the constitution, the word impeachment is explicitly mentioned for the removal of the president only. For judges, it is mentioned as a removal. But usually in common language, we usually term that a removal as an impeachment. So the judge of a high court in India can be removed only through removal following the rigorous procedure laid down in the Constitution of India under Article 217 and 218 and the Judges Inquiry Act of 1968. So what is the steps of removal of a judge of High Court or Supreme Court in India? So what is the ground of removal? A judge can be removed only on the ground of a proven misbehavior or incapacity. And the initiation of the impeachment process can be either in Lok Sabha or in Rajya Sabha. For that, minimum 100 MPs in Lok Sabha and 50 MPs in Rajya Sabha should file a impeachment petition. And the Speaker of the Lok Sabha or the Chairman of the Rajya Sabha may admit the motion of removal. And they will create a inquiry committee consisting of the CJI, Supreme Court Chief Justice, and High Court Judge and a distinct jurist. A 3-membered inquiry committee will be formed on inquiring about the charges against the judge. And the committee will submit the report. If the committee report is against the judge or it's like it is supporting the removal of the judge, and the resolution will be discussed and voted in both the houses of the parliament. The removal motion should be passed by special majority, that is the majority of the then member of the existing strength of the house and the 2/3 majority, 2/3 members of present and voting. It should be passed with a special majority. That's why it's a rigorous procedure, and the removal is actually a tough for a judge. And once the resolution for removal has been passed by the parliament, it will go to the president of India, and the honorable president may usually will give the approval for the removal, and then the judge will be removed from the post. So the question is, will Justice Verma be impeached, removed? Most probably, yes. Yes, there is a fact that no judge in India has ever been removed by impeachment despite several attempt has made. However, in Justice Verma's case, this is one of the most serious and publicly documented case ever in India's history. And there is a bipartisan support for this motion. Both of the parties are supporting the removal of this motion. And if the motion is admitted and the committee confirmed wrongdoing and being both the houses of the parliament vote in favor, and the president Draupadi Murmu can formally remove the judge from the post, and he's going to be the first judge to be removed by the procedure. World's largest hydropower dam. Who is building? China. China has begun constructing the world's largest hydropower dam in Yarlung Zangbo River. It is formerly known in India, that is Brahmaputra and Jamuna in Bangladesh. And the project is located in Nyangchi, the Tibetan Autonomous Region, and it's planned to exceed the capacity of the Three Gorge Dam, which is the largest in the world. And it has the capacity to reduce the rotation of the earth and tilted the earth axis. Now this dam going to be exceeding the capacity or become the largest, world largest dam in China. So why it is matter? What is the concern? That India's concern is Ministry of External Affairs expressed the concern over water security and flow disruption downstream because the China is an upper riparian of this river, and lack of transparent communication that India said it would monitor the situation and take necessary measures to protect the national interest of India. And what was the China stand? What is China is saying? China claims that the dam will not harm the downstream nations, it will not harm the lower riparians, and it promises to maintain a dialogue with the lower riparian countries like India and Bangladesh. That was a assurance by China, Chinese assurance. So what is the strategic and security implications? The dam is very close to India's Arunachal Pradesh, that region that China also claims that there is a existing claim over Arunachal Pradesh by China. That is a matter of concern, and that location adds military and political tension to the already sensitive border between India and China. And the Yarlung Zambo River, its control gives to China's hydrological leverage over India and Bangladesh. And there are environmental tensions also. The Yarlung Zambo is one of the highest river that altitude is around 500 feet, and that will actually, like earlier, this three gorge dam, that construction already displaced many population and environmental losses were there. So that concern over environment is also existing there. Our vice president, the chairman of Rajya Sabha, resigned. Okay, Jagdeep Dhankar got resigned, citing the health issues. So what is the constitutional provision of a resignation of vice president? The article is 67A says that the vice president may resign from office by writing under his hand addressing to President of India. Okay, if the president want to resign, he has to write to vice president, so they will be exchanging the resignation letter if they are resigning. So how does vice president resign? He has to must submit a signed letter to president. Does resignation take effect immediately once it received? Is there any provision for an acting vice president appointed? No, there is no provision for acting vice president. Like in president, if the president resigned in midterm, the vice president will be acting president. If vice president is not available, the Chief Justice of India, CJ, will be the acting president for that interim time, and within 6 months new president should be elected. But these provisions are not there for a vice president, the deputy vice president. But here vice president is actually not only vice president, vice president of India, he is a chairman, he is a presiding officer of Rajya Sabha. So once vice president got resigned, that his chairmanship will be vacant. So the deputy chairman of Rajya Sabha will take over the presidentialship of Rajya Sabha. So what will happen? The next election commission will conduct an election to fill this vacancy, but there is no term is mentioned, like within 6 months this vacancy should be filled. There is no prescribed term is there. In constitution it says that as soon as possible the vice president should be, like the post should be filled, and due to the successor serves the remaining term. No, the successor will be there for a full 5-year term. It's not like in USA that successor will be continuing for the remaining term of the vice president. He will be continuing, he will be there for a complete 5 years in India's case. So what is the provision for the removal of the vice president? That constitutional provision is Article 67B. The vice president may be removed from the office by resolutions of the Rajya Sabha passed by the majority of all the then members of the House and agreed by the Lok Sabha. Only Rajya Sabha can initiate a removal motion for the vice president, and the Lok Sabha should agree that. Removal process must be initiated only in Rajya Sabha. A resolution introduced to remove the vice president. There will be a 14-day notice will be given to the vice president, and at least 14 Rajya Sabha members should sign this removal. I mean, like motion, and the Rajya Sabha passed the resolution. The resolution must be passed by a majority of all the then members. That is absolute majority. Rajya Sabha should pass, not just the present and voting. All the then members, absolute majority should be there. And the Lok Sabha's approval is actually, it's a simple majority, that Lok Sabha should pass the resolution with a simple majority. That majority, I mean the majority of people present and voting. There is a news about a polyandry in India. Sunita Chauhan, a tribal woman from Hatti tribes of the Transgiri region of Himachal Pradesh, married 2 brothers. That one girl married to 2 brothers. It's a traditional practice called Jodi Dharan. Okay, Jodi Dharan. It's in a tribal practice. So this is polyandry, that practice where one woman has a multiple husband. So what is the legal provisions? What are the legal thing in India? In general, polyandry is allowed in India. No, there is generally there is the polyandry is not legally allowed in India. Okay, polyandry and polygamy. So polyandry is illegal and criminalized under the Hindu Marriage Act, Special Marriage Act, and the BNS also. Okay, so there is a law prohibiting both polyandry and polygamy, considering the second simultaneous marriage was a marriage is void and punishable. So why this is allowed? What is the provision? For the people from scheduled caste, for STs, the constitutional exceptions are there. Article 342 of the Constitution recognizes the scheduled caste and allow their customary laws to prevail in certain personal manners. Okay, and section 2 of the Hindu Marriage Act says it is provision do not apply to the scheduled tribes unless notified by the central government. That the prohibition of polygamy do not apply on scheduled caste unless it is notified by the central government. Hence, in the absence of any notification, the STs like Hatti tribe may continue to follow their undocumented customary practices, including the polyandry. So what is this valid, or what is a valid customary law? A law is actually under the definition of Article 13 of the Constitution. Law means any custom that is an enforcement or that is a nature of a law is also a law. So as per section 3 of the Hindu Marriage Act, the custom must be long lasting, reasonable and certain, not against the public policy, and courts require evidence of the consistent and accepted community practices before accepting it as valid. That's how custom is being decided. So what have the courts said so far? The Supreme Court stated that the customs can't override the fundamental right. That custom cannot override the fundamental right. And the Supreme Court has repeatedly held that customs that violate Article 14, that equality, Article 15, prohibition of discrimination, and Article 21, right to life and personal liberty, are unconstitutional. And important cases like in Triple Talaq case in 2017, Shabarimala case 2018, and Ram Charan versus Shukam case of 2021 says that these are unconstitutional, that these kind of customs are unconstitutional because it is against Article 14, Article 15 and Article 21. Okay, so the tribal, and in recent case in 2021 says that tribal customs that denying woman inheritance was struck down by the Supreme Court. So as of now, these kind of precedents are there. So if the Supreme Court is striking down this marriage, it will be dissolved. There is a like debate over this, the validity of this tribal marriage. And what about the Uniform Civil Code? That one law for all religion, all that everyone from a different religion will have follow the one personal law. But in the case of Uttarakhand, UCC, when the UCC is already there in Uttarakhand, it mandated that monogamy should be there, like polygamy is not allowed, and equal inheritance for both male and female, and the compulsory registration of marriage, it is mandatory. But still, in that also, it excluded scheduled tribes. Say that section 2 of the UCC of 2025 says that the scheduled tribes are not bound by the UCC, preserving the constitutional safeguard under part 21 of the Constitution. Euthanasia of deceased stray dogs. It's happening in Kerala. The Kerala government planned to launch a mobile sterilization unit across 152 blocks and allowing euthanasia, that mercy killing, okay, of serious diseased and dangerous stray dogs, invoking the legal provisions under animal cruelty rule. There is a growing concern about the stray dog biting on of human being. So what is the legal provisions behind euthanasia? Under Indian Animal Act, Section 8 of the Prevention of Cruelty of Animal Act rules, it allows the permit of euthanasia of deceased animals like spreading diseases and requires certification by registered veterinary practitioner, and the vet must confirm that the animal is mortally injured, that is having a injury that will kill, that will take off the life of that animal, and it would cruel to keep the animal alive, then euthanasia is allowed. And the procedure is consent must be obtained from the owner of the or the custodian of this animal, and a blindfolding and a sedation may be administered for humane handling of a animal during euthanasia. So the legal concern is these kind of a stray dogs, from where we will get this consent? There is no custodian of this stray dogs. Finally, current affairs drill question of the day. With reference to the Vice President of India, consider the following statement. The Vice President is elected by an electoral college consisting of members of both the Houses of the Parliament, including nominated members. Who is electing Vice President? That is it. And the Constitution provides for an acting Vice President in case of a vacancy due to resignation of a removal. The Vice President can be removed from office by a resolution passed by a simple majority in both the Houses of the Parliament. The term of newly elected Vice President in case a mid-term vacancy is only the remaining term of the President's interim. Okay, President's term. Which of the above statement is or are correct? The options are given here. Comment your answer below the comment section.